Tonight for dinner, it's Monday. We are having some beef steak with the mushroom gravy, something I found on Pinterest to use up some of this meat that was in our freezer. So I mixed the meat with some of the ingredients were, he's laughing, not crying, were Worcestershire, however you say that, some breadcrumbs, some ground mustard, some flour, an egg, also a clove of garlic, a shallot I chopped up, and some parsley from our garden. So I mixed all that together and then made these into patties. I forgot to season them with salt and pepper. But now I'm about to cook them on the stove for a couple minutes. Okay, on medium-high heat, I warmed up some butter and olive oil. And I'm cooking 3 patties at a time for a few minutes on each side. I've got the oven set to 350. Over here I already have my onion and mushrooms chopped up. After the patties cooked, I moved them to this pan, and now I added some more 2 tablespoons of butter, and now I added my onions, and I'm about to add the chopped mushrooms and 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, and let that cook for a few minutes until the mushrooms are soft. Then I added 1/4 cup of flour to the mixture, and I'm just mixing that up and gonna let it cook for a couple of minutes. And then I'm gonna add I have right here 2½ cups of beef stock, so I'm gonna add a half a cup of that to this mixture in just a minute. Alright, I ended up adding all of the beef stock, and I put the heat down to medium-low, and I'm just gonna let it cook, simmer, and stir it occasionally for about 8 minutes. The gravy is done cooking, so now I'm just going to pour it over the patties and put foil over it and bake it at 350 for about 30 minutes. So this is obviously a Jared dinner. I chose it for him, so he better like it. He loves mushrooms and meat. I don't care for mushrooms at all, but I will eat them. So I hope this comes out yummy. And there it is. I already tasted the, what are these things called? I keep forgetting. Chopped beef steak patty, and it's pretty good. And I made some mashed potatoes and some sauteed Swiss chard to go on the side. I will put the recipes for this and this below. Let me know if you try them out. For dinner tonight, it is Tuesday and we have our FPU class, so I had to do something quick. So we're just having a frozen pizza from Costco. They come in a pack of 3 and they're really good. And then I made a Caesar salad to go along with it. So that is our quick Tuesday dinner. For dinner on, Wednesday, we're having a pasta with tomato cream sauce. It's a Pioneer Woman recipe, and I will put the recipe below. And then just a Caesar salad and some bread with it, and some strawberries and pears. And that's our Meatless Wednesday.
When you're doing it, don't tell your man that it doesn't have meatless. Just sneak it in on him. I bet he won't even notice.
Yeah.
So you like it?
Yeah, it's really good.
It is good.
But don't use this one for a first time meal transition. Use something where you can sneak like some mushrooms or some meaty things that are vegetables. That's what you did to me, right?
No.
Now I'm sitting here eating completely meatless, no vegetables, and it's
There's
good.
vegetables.
Oh, well, I mean, you know what I mean. There's no like meaty vegetables that
okay.
substitute for the meat.
Okay, thanks for your input.
There's some.
For dinner on Thursday, we are just having leftovers, the same thing as last night. Using up all of our food, guys. We haven't eaten out at all for No Spend January, so that's causing us to not waste much food. So we're using up the rest of the spaghetti that we made yesterday, plus using up the rest of the lettuce to make a Caesar salad. If you're wondering what I do, I just cut up romaine lettuce and then use a Caesar dressing that I buy from the store, and then top it with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And then we got our bread, and I cut up a fresh pineapple last night. So that's what's for dinner. I just don't have the basil for the pasta, and that is a big part of it. So if you make this, you gotta use fresh basil. Here's what we're having for dinner on Friday. Same thing we had like a week ago. Some chicken fajitas.
With some fresh guac.
Yep, made guacamole. We've got a mango, shredded cheese, salsa, tomatoes, and our Mexican rice which I filmed the recipe on how to make that, so look for that. And here's our Friday night dinner. Tonight is Sunday, and for dinner I'm going to make a roasted red pepper potato soup. I've made this quite a few times, and both me and Jared really like it. So the ingredients are 3 cups worth of potatoes. I already cut some up, and I've got about 4 cups, so it's more than what it calls for, but that's fine. I've got 1 chopped onion. You need salt, cumin, coriander, some cilantro, some EVOO to cook the onions, to saute the onions in, some green chilies, roasted red peppers, vegetable broth, and cream cheese, and a lemon. So I'm going to go ahead and saute the onion. And to the sauteed onion, it actually calls for 2 medium onions, but I just cut up 1 because that's plenty of onion for me. We're going to add the roasted red peppers, which I chopped up, the can of green chilies, and then 2 tablespoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of coriander. And then after letting that cook for a couple minutes, you're going to add your potatoes. Since I have 4 cups instead of 3, the recipe calls for 3 cups. I'm also going to add the vegetable broth to this, so I'm going to add a little bit more than 3 cups, which is what the recipe calls for. I might add 3.5 or 4 cups. We'll see what I feel like. I just went ahead and added the whole thing, the whole 32 ounces, 4 cups worth of vegetable broth. We're going to turn the heat up on that, let it come to a boil, and then put it down to low, put the lid on, and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, when the potatoes are tender, I'm going to go ahead and add the chopped cilantro, about 2 tablespoons worth, and about a tablespoon, a little bit more since I made more of lemon juice. Then you're going to want to put half of the soup into a blender along with the cream cheese and puree that, I'm talking to the camera, until it's smooth. It calls for 1/2 cup of cream cheese. I used a little bit more than that since I used more potatoes and broth. And then I'm just going to pour that back into the pot, heat it back up on warm a little bit, let it warm up all the way through, and that will be it. We will be eating. Make sure when you put it in the blender you don't put too many of the potatoes, because if you want to have that chunkiness in there when you're eating the soup, don't put too many.